This is a support tutorial movie for several of the assignments. This is going to show you how to use channels, which I have over here on the left, to cut out a figure or an object from the background and do it quickly, efficiently. Let me make this larger on screen. Do it efficiently so that you can turn something like this into something like this, where I actually was able to move her over to one side or any side that I wanted for the purposes of using this image in an ad or a poster. Now, I'm going to actually click on the folder of the image, and this is the after picture, but look at how I can actually take her and move her across the screen like I want, and look at how the edge of her, let me move close, look at how the edge of her is beautiful. Look at how it doesn't look like she's cut out with a pair of scissors. She actually has a soft edge, and we're going to let channels help us create this entire thing. So I'm going to Z back and Z back again until she's back in the exact place that she came from, which really doesn't matter, I suppose. But I'm going to actually turn off that image right there and click back to the main image. Now I'm going to zoom in again. I was able to, through the use of channels, create that mask on her right there. And you can see just how accurate that mask is. But I didn't have to do very much in order to create it. I did have to do a little bit, and that is what this movie is all about. How to use channels and how to fix them. Then how to utilize them to actually create a movable object on a background that you can use as the design element. Now let me hit Command tilde and go forward to where I put her. Look at how I actually transferred her to this file right here. Here's an ad. And I'm not going to actually do a specific movie to show you how I built this ad. What I'm going to do, though, is to show you how I can actually click to her image. And based on where I want her in this ad, where she looks good, is where she's going to be and how well she balances in the ad. Do I want her to this side of the ad or to that side of the ad? Well, that's what the designer asks all the time. But I want to have the ability to make that happen. So I'm going to hit Command tilde to toggle back to my other screen. First I'll hit Command Z and then Shift Command Z to move her back, and then okay, I've toggled through all my undos. Now I'm going to hit Command tilde to go back to this one, and we're going to cut her out of this background. And then once we cut her out of this background, let me remove her, we're going to show you how to content aware her out of the cloud background and then fix the whatever you've done. In this case, I have to fix it a little bit because once I cut her out of this background, it's going to leave a hole in the background. It's going to leave, well, you'll see when I get it done. So I'm going to turn this back on. Actually, I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to turn off her image the way that I had it, and I'm going back down to this original image on the bottom of the screen right here. Now you never harm an original, so you always duplicate it, okay? And then you should lock it, but I don't really have to. Now I'm going to call this working image. And then I'll save the file. So now on the working image, I am going to find out which one of these channels has the best contrast. Is it red? That certainly isn't the one. Is it blue? Ah, that one looks really good. Or is it green? And the answer is it's blue. So I'm going to duplicate the blue channel, which I've already done twice here, but I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to call it working so I know which one it is. So let me just call it working blue, just so I know what I'm actually doing today, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is hit the Command L or bring up levels. And in the levels palette, I'm actually going to increase the color of her, meaning the darkness of her. Let me put her on the screen so you can see what I'm doing, okay? So I'm going to take this and increase the darkness of her and increase the lightness that's around her to almost get my job done so that I don't have a lot of painting to do. But I don't want to go too far so that I fill her up past the edge of her body. So I'm going to hit OK on that. And then in a little while, I'm actually going to level off the background a little more so that I can have this done. Now, I can see where I have to fill in the inside of this. In other words, I have to take the B key, which is the paintbrush. I'm going to put the paintbrush on an almost, not all the way hard, but an almost hard brush. And for this purpose, I am going to paint the flow at 100%. Always leave for this purpose, when you're masking this out, 100% on the flow and 100% on the opacity. Now you can see how I can toggle with the X key the foreground and background colors. So I'm toggling, sorry, I'll do it here. I'm toggling, don't know why they're not toggling, but let me move this over. I'm going to toggle, okay, oh, I know why, because it was on, I actually have to be clicked on the channel that I want, and let me make sure I have something on I don't want. Okay, I need to, I'm not working on it yet, so I have to click back up to the RGB image, and then for some reason my X key is not toggling the foreground and background colors, which is kind of a pain, and I don't really know why it's not toggling the foreground and background colors. I should really save out of this file and then reopen Photoshop so that the X key is actually toggling those. There is no reason why it shouldn't be toggling those, other than maybe I wasn't connected on a layer. Nope. Okay, I had to quit out of Photoshop and reopen it and reset the preferences and just get everything on the screen that was working. Now you can see how my X key is actually toggling the foreground and background colors. And you know what? It's okay that you had to watch me do that, because that's what happens in Photoshop. Sometimes you just have to do stuff like restart the program. So now that I have her here in the working blue channel, I am going to toggle when I need to go to white or black. And I remind you, I have this all the way to almost hardness, but not full hardness. Now I'm going to fill up everything here with a large brush, and I'm going to make black actually get close to the image, and then I'm going to use the techniques of channeling to actually see the true image underneath. And then it's going to show up as a little bit of a different color. Now I don't know here what is a hole into the sky and what is her hair. I'm pretty sure all of this needs to be covered up, but over here I'm not exactly sure where is the true edge. So what I want to do is zoom in on her. I want you to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to always be selected on this channel that I'm clicking on right now, but I'm going to toggle this on and off. Now, if you don't like the color that you're given, double click this, I'll bring this window over, and change your color here. And I usually like to work on an opacity of 50%. So if I had it at 100% opacity, I wouldn't be able to see the image underneath. So I need to put it on some opacity so that I can put it and see through to the image below. Now, watch how I can actually toggle the eyeball off of this, and I know what I'm pointing at right there is actually the sky behind her hair. Everything else is part of her. So I'm going to click the eyeball on to see the red. Now, painting in black when this is off is just like painting in red when this upper RGB layer is on. So look at how I'm actually filling up all the little things that have to do with her, but I'm going to leave this alone because that's actually her hair on her head that's extending beyond her forehead. So look at how I'm pretty accurate as I'm moving all over here, and now I've got her head all masked off. Let's move into the hand. Let's toggle this off so I can see what the hand is doing. Okay, this hole that's right there is actually a hole between her fingers, but all of this here should be included in the mask. So I'm going to toggle the eyeball on, hit my bracket key to make my brush smaller, and I'm actually going to bring the red over here, but I'm not going to cover that up because that should actually be exposed. It should be open. So let's go around her body right here. This is part of her backpack. That's part of the sky. So let's go around and look at how little work I actually have to do. Now I actually have to fix her sock, because if I back off on that a little bit and turn off my mask, you can see that her sock is there and that everything else is pretty good, except I know that that should be filled up in red. Let's get close. I want a little bit more of a feathered edge, so I'm going to make the hardness a little bit less. And I'm going to come in here with my paintbrush or my electronic pen, and I'm going to try to get as close to that side as possible and as close to this side as possible. Now, I'm not going to go into the dark of that line around there, but I've done a really good job. Now I can make a bigger brush and fill in the rest. Now I want to make sure what I'm filling in is black, so I toggle the top button off. Look at how many holes I would have created in her body had I not toggled that off and filled all these little thingy things up right here, these little gray spots with black. That has to be 100% filled up. Let's go around here. Let me see where the pant edge is here. So I toggle this on, and I can see that I really need to even grab the little highlight that's on the edge of those pants. So I always take a brush and I work it from the outside in so that I can just get as close as I need to get. Let me move over here and just work my way down, and I'll go to a smaller brush if I need to. So I've done a real good job there. I'm going to leave that leg alone. I don't want to lose part of her knee there, so I need to actually come down the knee like this, and then down the knee a little bit more like this. So you take the time with your electronic pen or whatever. Now, if you mess up and you go into the background like I just did, it's okay, don't panic. All you have to do is hit the X key and then take that away. So just go retouch it away, just like you made the mistake in the first place. So I'm going to hit the X key and now put a little bit more red there. And now I've done a really nice job in securing the edge of this leg. And it's okay that if some of that leg melts into the sky, well, that's just going to leave it as reflected light anyway, because her leg is still going to be against the sky. All right, this has too many holes in it. I'll show you what I mean. I can already tell that that has too many holes. So I'm even going to make a mistake, and I'm going to go out too far there. So watch how now I can hit the X key. See how easy that was? I turned on this upper eyeball for the RGB layer, and now I can just thin this down in a really comfortable way. And if I make a mistake going to the inside, like I just did right there, just hit your X key and put it back. It's not a big deal, even if you have to go back and forth 5 or 6 or 7 or 12 times. So now let's toggle the brush a little smaller, not too much smaller, and let's go around the sock this way and through here, and then on this side let's go around the sock this way, and definitely I'm going to fill up these holes, but I'm not going to fill up these over here. So I'm going to toggle this off, and I need to make the shoe be really clean with dark all the way around. Now I've told you, or I've advised for you, to never damage an original anything. Okay, so I'm going to hold the same true for this blue channel. So I'm going to duplicate this now. So let me make sure I have her all covered up really nice. And nope, I missed a spot right there. I can't believe I missed that. And I don't want to cut off her forehead right there. So let's go here. Let me see if I got the nose very good here. Yes, I did. That's good. I don't know what that is hanging off the bottom of her nose. Oh, that's just her jacket. Okay, so let's go up here. Let me now fix this hand. I don't want to cut her fingers off. Look at how there are holes there. So I'm going to toggle the bottom eyeball off, and I can tell that the thumb has a white edge on it. But this hole is to the sky. See what I'm pointing at there? This one, and this one should be maintained. So I'm going to toggle on the eyeball for the bottom one, make the brush really tiny, and fill all that in right there. I probably should have left that alone. It really doesn't matter. You wouldn't really know what I did wrong. No, I'm actually going to leave it. But I am going to come with a bigger brush. I am going to come down the edge of her thumb there. And you can see how I'm coming down the edge of the thumb. I'm joining it into the fingers so that she doesn't look like she has 3 poor little fingers hanging out there, or 4 little fingers hanging out there in nowhere's land. So let's just now come in here and see how well I did. I'm going to toggle this on. Okay, now look at all the holes I have there. So you must view it back. Let me go smaller brush. You must redo your viewability into the masks. Don't assume that just because it looks red or black or whatever color you actually made this, that you are actually where you're supposed to be, meaning there's no holes. See how I have holes here? That's not supposed to be there. These 2 and 3 aren't supposed to be there. This is supposed to be filled up, and that is definitely supposed to be filled up. So let me just give a quick eyeball to the whole thing. Right on her arm there, I see one right there. I see her hair here. I see the edge of her hair there. I see that. I see the jacket right there. Okay, I'm going to save the file now, and I'm good. Okay, now I don't want to really use levels to try to get rid of everything that's there. So watch how I do a really kind of a neat thing. Okay, I'm going to use the magic wand. I'm going to lower or upper the tolerance, raise the tolerance of this if I have to. Up in here where I have the tolerance at 3, I actually want to click this and see what selection I just got. And I see that I got a really good selection of that. Now watch what I do. I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Expand by 20 pixels. Now that I've expanded that by 20 pixels, watch how I can inverse it. Shift-Command-I, right? That was cool, right? And now fill the whole thing up with white on the outside, which is, if it's in the background color, Command-Delete. Now I've done a really good job there. Let's deselect. Let's take the lasso tool and let's just lasso this all the way around here and fill that up, Command-Delete. And let's go over here and take this around here, don't get her shoe, Mr. Sorio, and come around like that and hit Command-Delete, save the file again, and deselect. Now I have a little bit of gray left over here, so let's duplicate this one more time and hit Command-L, and now it shouldn't take more than, watch, a little bit right there to really come into that edge and make it white. It's got to stay white, all right? With a nice little feather on that edge. There's a little bit on her pants there that I have to say okay with. So I got to hit the B key. I'm painting in black, and I'm going to fill that up right there. I didn't want to cut a hole in her pants. Okay, so I've done a really good job on the mask. Now, let me hit Command-S. I'm going to show you 3 ways to do this. She's black. Okay, that means black eliminates. White retains. So I have a choice. I could either take this channel and hit Command-I to invert it, or I could have left it alone. Then when I want to mask her out of this image, all I have to do is leave that selected right over here. I'll click up to the RGB layer. Look at how I have that layer selected right here. I'm going to put the white layer below here so I can play with this working image layer. And I'm going to make a selection of my last channel by Command or Control clicking on it. Now, I'm going to show you that I'm turning that off right here. I'm turning the white on. So this is what I wanted you to see. If I just click this layer mask button, let me move this up. If I just click the layer mask button, I actually cut her out of the image. Now, again, you have a choice. You can invert this, which is a Command-I. You could just go like this and you have your whatever you needed, but that was 2 steps. Let me hit Command-Z back and Option Command-Z, or if you're on a PC, Alt Control-Z. Now, with the selection active, if you hold the Alt or Option key, you can do an automatic invert. If you click the layer mask button, it's an automatic invert of whatever the channel was. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? So there was 3 ways to do it. You could have clicked in the channel and hit Command-I and then just naturally hit the layer mask button. I'll Command-Z back. Or you could have made a selection of this, Alt or Option clicked on the layer mask button when you were on that image and you masked her out of that image. Okay, so that was good. I actually did what I wanted. Let me click now up to the RGB image. Now let's turn on or duplicate. I'm going to turn her off now. Okay, she's practically done. Now what I actually want to do is, since I'm happy with this, I actually want to, and there's another thing I could have done there. Gosh, I should show you that. So, all right, I'm going to duplicate that image because I want her isolated. See, there's so many ways in Photoshop to do the same thing. But I'm going to delete the layer mask on this one. Okay, so this is what I could have done. I could Command click, now that I had the channel, I can Command click the channel. I'm going to click this channel and hit Command I. So I've inverted it. Wanted you to see that. Now I'm going to click up to the RGB image. Now I'm going to make a selection by Command or Control clicking on that. And then I'm just going to click on this layer and hit Command J. Now I've instantaneously made her on a transparent background. You see? She's totally transparent. Or I could have done what I did in the first place, which is right here, and then right-hand click and apply the layer mask. Same thing, exactly the same thing. Now I actually did want 2 copies of her, so it's good that I have 2 copies of her, because I'm going to blur the background. But before I'm going to blur her on the bottom image and add a motion to her. Okay? But I'm not going to do it until I remove her from this working image background. So I want her gone. Now, I could take a lasso and carefully go around her image so that I have about 1/8 of an inch of background showing, but heck, I already did that. So let me zoom in and show you, if you make a selection of the channel you have, and you go to Select, Modify, Expand, by that same 20 pixel mark, or 15, you now have that 1/8 of an inch all the way around her. So here's what I say. Once you're selected on the correct layer, I want to now take her out of this background. So I go to Edit, Fill, and in Edit Fill, I'm given 3 choices, or 4, or 5, but in this case, I choose Content Aware and click OK, and now she's gone. So, let me make sure I was on the flow of 100%. Okay, Mr. Sorial. You need to Z back and figure out why didn't that work. Okay, so it's always a fun game. So let me, I'm taking her out of this background. It took away a portion of her, just a little bit. I could see the feather in there, meaning I could see her. She kind of, I didn't see what was in the window. I didn't read it. So it's just so much fun. So, oh, I see. You see what that opacity is on? For some reason, on my machine, for whatever reason, it was on a 5% opacity. So I want to make this on 100% opacity. And now if I click Content Aware, she should be removed 100%. So joy, joy, joy. Let me hit Command S to save and Command D to deselect. Now, Content Aware did a really good job, except it left a hole in here. So your job is to fix it. Now, I always say, don't ruin the original. Well, in this case, this is the original layer that has her cut out. So I'm going to duplicate it, lock it, or just hide the bottom one. I'm going to take the S key for the clone stamp. Now I want you to hear this. I'm going to put the flow of the clone stamp on 20. So when I actually target by holding Alt or Option any part of that cloud, I'm not blasting it in here at 100%. So I'm going to make sure I've deselected. I'm going to make sure my brush is all the way soft. Did you hear that? And now watch how I'm going to take this gray right there, and I'm gently clicking over the cloud, and you can see how I'm painting, but I'm painting with cloud, not with gray or white. So I want this filled in, I want this filled in. Let's re-grab this by Alt or Option clicking. Let's just click in the same place, and let's just manually or creatively fix this cloud and try not to get any repeating patterns that are in here. That would be horrible. So I'm going to be kind of particular with how I'm doing this. Okay, so I've given myself a fairly decent cloud pattern there. Not exactly crazy about how dark that is. So I'm going to grab this blue that's right there, and I'm going to just make the blue look more continuous. Let's grab this cloud pattern right there and put it back right inside here. So I said I don't want to get duplicating, but you know, nobody would really know that that's not supposed to be there. Besides, she's going to cover that up. Okay, so let me take this and just come back here, and I think that's fine. I think that's good. So I'm happy with that. All right, so I hit Command S to save the file. Now let's turn her image back on. 1, 2. Now I have 2 separate images of her. Yes, I can shift click them, okay, and hit the V key and move them around the screen. I'm Command Zing back. But it would be so nice if I just made a folder of her. So with them both selected, I'm going to click the folder button, open it up, and show you that this is my hiker. Since I already have, whoops, since I already have a hiker layer or a hiker folder, I'm going to name it hiker number 2. Now I'm turning off the top one. On the bottom one, I'm going to go to select it first, meaning click on the layer, go to blur and motion blur. Now she is on a little bit of a down angle, so I'm not going to go at 0% here. I'm moving this up. I'm going to, let me zoom in so I can still show you. She's on a down angle. She's jumping from a higher cliff to a lower cliff. So I actually want to put this at a little bit of a, like a -8. And then I'm going to motion blur her quite a bit like this, right there. Now, I like the motion blur that I have. A little bit more would be fun in this case. And now I'm going to turn her other image. Whoops, once I click OK, I'll turn her other image back on. I'll take the V key and I'll move the motion blur a little bit towards the back. Well, I think that looks good, but I'll remove a little bit of opacity from that. And now, if you don't like how hard the edge is on the motion blur, add a layer mask to it. Take your B key, make it big, like this, which is the brush. Make your flow now back to about 8 or 10. Okay, so it's a soft flow. And we're going to gently paint black on the layer mask with a soft brush. And watch how I can hit the return key. Okay, hit the return key, and now I can soften this edge. So I really didn't want that edge to be so much. Now this is neat. Watch how I can actually take my brush and toggle it really small, and then right off the back of her sock I can actually remove some and add to the motion blur even more than what's there. So you see how you have complete freedom? Look at how I've kind of added a little bit more to the motion blur, and I've made it look a little bit more motiony. Is that a good word? I don't know. So let's come off of this sock with a smaller brush, and let's just add more to the motion blur, Mr. Sorio, right off her leg here. And I'm doing pretty good. I think that looks good. So I'm going to leave it just like this. Now all I need to do is click up to the folder, hit the V key for the move tool, and look at how I can move her around the screen, and I can have her either almost land on that rock or start from over here. And that's what I wanted to show you. That is the power of cutting out something from the background using channels or a copy channel and using levels, and then painting in and out of this mask. So remember, I painted in and out of that mask, toggling the image back. Now, obviously, I've moved her. So in order to do this right, I would need to turn off that hiker, click back to my main image by duplicating it, and now if I move it up above, I have her back in the right place where she should match that one perfectly. See, that's the original image right there, which I'm going to throw away in a second. And if I toggle this back and forth, you can see what I have. Now, remember that I actually had this inversed. I'm sorry, I said the wrong word. Inverted. So I don't like painting red on the outside and keeping her clear. Look at how hard that is to see. I'm actually glad I'm showing you this. I'm going to hit Command I on this one, and look at how much easier that is to see than that. Do you follow what I'm saying? So I usually like to put the color on the image so the background's real clear and you can really get the feel of where you're painting in and out of that mask. But I don't need to be selected on that, and I certainly don't need this image anymore. So there's my mask of the figure, okay? And I just need to click back up here. Why is she still selected? Okay, that should be an error, and now it's gone. Okay, it wasn't slight error, or I just didn't see that the eyeball was actually back. You know what? The eyeball was on. It's my fault. So now here is my normal image right there. And then this is the background behind it. So that should be part of a main folder. So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm taking the hiker, and I'm going to take the working image where I've removed her from the background, and I fixed the cloud, and I'm going to make the folder again. Now I'm going to call this my image. Now for the purposes of this, I already have an image folder, so I'll name this image 2, and I'll save the file. Now I would right-hand click and duplicate that entire group. I'll bring this window over from my other screen, and I would actually make it go to the finish add. So since I've already done that, I'm hitting cancel. So I'm going to hit Command tilde, which is the key above the tab key, and there is her in this ad. And I have the ability, and here is her folder, which is the image folder, which I'm turning off and on. Now I'll go into the image folder. Let me just open it up again. I'm so sorry. And now I'll only toggle her on and off. So I'll click this on and off. And you can move her anywhere you want to. I decided to actually have a little bit of a horizontal and a vertical running on this ad, and this is actually a student's ad from a couple semesters ago, which I think is a really good ad. I've added the arrow to it just for movement. I've added the fun stuff on the left. I like the orange and the blue. I just think this is powerful, okay? So, I wanted to do a second part to this. So you can stop right now. Actually, I'll probably add 2 movies. So the next movie is going to be, it's another support movie, but it's going to be this and how you deal with cutting a mask like I made right here. Look at how I cut that mask around the dog's head. Do you see how I'm option clicking back and forth, or alt clicking, and I'm actually being able to cut that mask around the dog's head? The same thing applied. I actually made a copy of the blue channel. So I took this blue channel, let me turn off the text and the headline, and I made a copy of the blue channel, which is right here. Let me click back and forth. Okay, see, something is going on here and it's not allowed, oh, because I'm not clicked on the image. I'm sorry. So now I should be able to click here, here, or here. It's just so happened I got a really good contrast of this figure with the blue channel. So what did I do? I duplicated it. I leveled it off, so I turned this into this. And then I was able to use this mask right here, beautiful, to paint it on this text layer. So I'm going to click up to the RGB image. I'm going to show you how I actually quickly cut that out. So I'm going to eliminate or delete that mask. Do you see how the word, I'm actually going to put a little bit more opacity in there. So by me having just the head cut out, I'm going to click back up to the RGB image, but now I'm selecting that. See how cool that is? I'm selecting it. Now this is the opportunity for you to either, and understand, black is going to eliminate. So if you look over here at the channel palette, black's going to eliminate the top half. So all I have to do is add a layer mask to this golden lettering here, the word golden. But if I hold the option key, I can make the opposite happen. Now if I hadn't held down the option key, this is what would have happened. I would have gone just like this. I don't want the lettering on his head. I want the opposite. So you can either hit Command I to invert this, or either hit Command Z back, hold the Alt or Option key, depending if you're on a Mac or a PC, and click. And now, this is important. I keep on saying I keep on saying that all the time, but it's true. If I want to move the lettering but have the mask stay put, or if I want to resize the lettering, watch what you can do. You uncheck the link button, please. Now I can click to the lettering, look at how it did that, or the mask. I choose to click to the lettering. I'm going to hit Command T, and now look at how I can actually remove or move the lettering to any side of that behind the head thing. Let me hit Command Z back. Or hold the Shift key and make it smaller, put it back where it's supposed to go, hit the return key and go on to the next phase. But I kind of like how I had it like this. So if you unlink the mask and the image, whether it's a piece of text or whether it's an image, you have the complete power to keep the mask stationary where it should be and move the image around the mask. So the next thing that I'm going to come up with is to show you how to rag text in Photoshop, and the same kind of thing in InDesign. Thank you.